Search It Up with Sienna. And as I promised, here's part 2 of my interview with David Anspaugh, director of the movie Rudy. Rudy always has someone supporting him and cheering him on. In the beginning, it was his best friend, then D-Bob, and then Fortune and his teammates. Were all these people based on the real Rudy in real life's like friends?
Yes, each and every one of them. Rudy's friend was killed at the mill where they worked together, and he was the one that gave Rudy a Notre Dame jacket, and he believed in him. That I haven't talked about that. That kind of choked me up a little bit. It meant a great deal to him, that guy. And who were the Fortune, for example. Fortune was he was more of a hybrid of 2 or 3 other people. He did work groundskeeping and all that, but there were other people that you know what, we didn't put this in the movie, we didn't even write it in the script, we could have, but this is what makes his story even more unbelievable. You know, he was hiding out, he was sleeping in a dungeon or something on Notre Dame campus, and he was pretending to be a Notre Dame student. He had his Notre Dame jacket on and all that, and there's something called the Bengal bouts. I don't know if they're still doing it at Notre Dame or not, probably are, but it's a boxing match, and anybody on campus can enter depending on your weight and size. And Rudy signed up.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy won the Bengal bouts, and he wasn't even a Notre Dame student. He faked it again, but it was just too much to put in the movie. The priests were real. The D-Bob, D-Bob is in the real D-Bob is the bartender in the bar where Rudy is getting his beers.
Oh wow! And I
That's the real,
also heard too that the real Rudy was actually in like a little scene when he's playing the football game. He's right behind his parents. Rudy's
that did, he turns around and says, "Do you see what that guy did?" Yes, that was the real Rudy. Yeah, he's a character, man. If you ever get a chance to listen to him, do you know that after this movie, for some period of time, he became one of the highest paid motivational speakers in America?
wow.
I mean, it costs a lot of money to get Rudy to come and speak for graduation or a corporate thing or whatever, because he melts your heart and he tells the story with such passion. And he still does it today. And he's influenced so many people with his story. And I know there are other stories like it. He's not unique. But I was in this golf tournament once. It was like a pro-am thing in Indiana. And I was the captain of the team. And as captain of the team, you could go in at midway and you get this food for free and all this. And we went in and the lady behind the counter said, "What would you guys like?" And I said, "Well, this, this, and this." And she goes, "Well, who's the captain?" And they said, "He is David Anspaugh." She goes, "Oh, I don't know who you are." You know. And guy said, "Have you ever seen the movie Hoosiers or Rudy?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "He directed those." She said, "You directed Rudy?" I said, "Yeah." Well, she couldn't speak. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. She said, "In a way, you kind of saved my daughter's life." She tried out for the volleyball team in high school. She got cut her first year, I guess, as a freshman. And she locked herself in her room. She wouldn't eat. She wouldn't see anyone. She was completely and totally distraught. And a friend of hers, her best friend, the only person that could get into the room, brought her a copy of Rudy to watch. And she finally walked out of her room and she said, "I'm going to make that team next year. And I'm going to get a scholarship." And she did. She went off to play college volleyball and, you know, whatever that was. So you never know, you know, but his story is just, it's really, it's very simple and it's very pure. And I loved it that way. And oh my God, Charles Dutton is Fortune, how wonderful. And Robert Prosky, and I had the most amazing Lily Taylor. I just everybody. Favreau, by the way, he was working in a pizza parlor in Chicago and came in to read for the part. And he'd not done a movie, I don't think, before that. He'd been at Second City and stuff like that. And I gave him the part right on the spot. I said, "You're our D-Bob, you got it." And Vince Vaughn, all of a sudden those two guys meet. Then you have swingers, bada bing, bada bing, bada bing, you know. It's quite amazing the way those things happen, you know. I mean, who knows? Um,
Yeah, and like
and
the thing with D-Bob is, and his character is, he sort of brings like this is a very serious and like he Rudy wants to get his dream, and then D-Bob sort of brings this little comedy into it, like this little like comedy character that sort of brightens the mood a little bit when Rudy's down and makes everyone
oh,
laugh.
Johnson Oracle, he knocked us out in the I gave him a chance to improv during his audition scene, and he just killed us. And I looked at Angelo and I said, "I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm giving him the part. I don't care what you say, he gets the role."
Why do you think it's such a timeless movie today? And when you were directing, did you think it would be so special?
No, no. I don't know anybody, for example, like Hoosiers. With Hoosiers, we didn't know what we had on our hands. You're never going to get a movie quite like what we did, you know. And the first time it ever screened in public was at the Sundance Film Festival. It was called the U.S. Film Festival in Park City, and it screened in the main theater, and neither one of us had the nerve to even be in the theater, because we thought, oh my God, it's going to be a really snobby film festival crowd, and it's going to be a movie about a bunch of high school kids in the 50s in black high tops, and nobody's going to care. So we're having cocktails across the street, and about 2/3 of the way through, we're getting ready to go home. We just didn't even want to face the crowd. And all of a sudden, Robert Duvall's wife comes running into the bar, and she said, "I saw you from across the street." She said, you've got to come with me now." And she took us both into the theater, and it was like the goosebumps just went up. It was electric. You could feel it, you know, and that's a pretty special thing. And we got a standing ovation. They had us come down front and asked us questions, and you know, everybody afterwards is going, "Who are these two guys? What are they up to?" What, you know, it's like, it was really exciting. We didn't have any idea. And with Rudy, we thought we could, like I said, we had so much fun. And I remember Gene Hackman once said to me, because Gene was very, very difficult to work with in Hoosiers. His work was flawless, but he's more of a tortured actor to work with. And he always said to me that if he's having fun on a movie, he said, those are the worst movies. Those are the worst ones. He said, the ones I think that are really hard to get through, those are the ones I'm usually proud of. Well, I was having so much fun. Rudy, I thought, are we just making something that's just going to bomb? And quite the contrary. Did you know that Rudy was invited? We had a screening at the White House.
Oh,
Um,
that.
Rudy screened at the White House with President Clinton and Hillary, and like there were like 20 people there or something. We had dinner and
Oh, wow.
uh, spent the whole night in the Oval Office afterwards, sitting around. But yeah, you know, the screening. I remember the movie started, and I'm sitting with a bag of popcorn and a Coke, sitting next to the President of the United States, and my movie, Rudy's on the screen. I'm going, I'm sure the Secret Service is going to bust in here in a minute and pull me out of here and say, "Mr. President, this man is a fraud. He doesn't belong here." You know, that was a highlight. That's kind of hard to, you know. Somebody said, "Would you rather win an Oscar or have your movie screened at the White House?" I said, "I'll take the White House any day." It was really fun. It was
Mhm.
great.
Who do you think is the hero of this movie?
Rudy,
Yes.
who do I think is the hero? You have the great questions, my dear. Very good questions. I've never been asked that question before. I don't, off the top of my head, there is not one. They all have their purposes. That here's the other thing. One of the themes of this movie that also is part of Hoosiers, which is about nobody really kind of does it alone. In some way, you need help along the way. You need a mentor or a guide, or whether it's a spiritual guide or a real guide, whatever it may be. And with Hoosiers, it was about we play as a team. There's not one player that's more important than the other, right? And and that's how we practice, and that's how we get better. And every character in that movie was given a second chance. Coach had a second chance to coach. Every kid on the team had a second. The drunk had a second chance. Everybody had a second chance. And Rudy, you mentioned the heroes, the father in his own way, D. Bob, Pete at the mill, um, uh, Father Kavanaugh,
Mhm.
um, and even Coach Parsegian. You
Yeah.
know, they all were uh, something at some point. Um, it enabled him to take that next step forward that he might not have been able to do without that. So, I I guess that's how I look at it. Do you agree or disagree?
I think I agree.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How would you answer that question?
Well, I think that there's sort of everybody along the journey. I think one thing that actually really inspired Rudy in the movie, and maybe even in Rudy's real life and the real Rudy, is that the people who said no, that he couldn't do it, I feel like even though that was like the negative energy, I feel like they sort of pushed him in a way that was positive, and he took that positively to go and pursue his dream.
Yeah, see, here's where I respect your opinion, and this is where I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. And I think part of it is because knowing the real Rudy, and that's where it's coming from.
Mhm.
Rudy, there's a word that's not in his vocabulary or dictionary, and that is the word no. So even when people said no to him, it was like water off a duck's back. Didn't mean anything. It was like he had a goal, and you say no, okay, well, next person. I'll just go on to the next person. And it wasn't you. I mean, yes, I know that that works in certain cases like that, and I'm sure probably to some degree it did with Rudy, like the priest at the beginning.
Mhm.
College is not for everybody, okay? Yeah, blah 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 blah. Just forget it. You're not going to Notre Dame. You've got what do you have relatives there or something? Why are you getting on the bus? Uh, and I'm sure he had a great deal of satisfaction proving, him wrong. But yeah, no, Rudy never understood the word no, and he was very naive in believing that he could do this. It was that naivete, I think, that for me charmed me, and there was something about Sean's performance that he captures that,
Yeah, definitely.
you know, and that's really not easy thing to do, to have your ego set aside. We would have Sean and I had a little thing running where he always said to me, he said, we called each other coach because there's a coach at Notre Dame that calls everybody coach because he can't remember anybody's name. And so Rudy calls everybody coach. So we all call each other coach. And it was, he would say to me, coach, if you ever see me, if you see my ego getting in there, if you ever see that coming out at my performance, send me to my trailer. And there were a couple times when I did, I said, Sean, get to the trailer. Think about it. And I wouldn't keep him there very long, but he got the point, and it's true. And I miss that so much. I had so much fun. Too bad you couldn't have been there hanging around. You would have you would have had a great time.
Definitely, I would have loved to. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show that you like to watch in general, like now?
No, I, you know, I love so many for so many different reasons.
Same.
Okay, um, there's a Japanese movie called Tokyo Story that had a big influence on me that I saw when I was in college. It was made back in the 50s. The director is Ozu, O-Z-U. If you ever get a chance to see this movie, and you can order it. In fact, I gave it away and I never got it back, but you can get a copy of it like on Amazon or something. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story, so simply told, about a Japanese family, from the older parents' point of view. An amazing film. Television, I mean, every night, and especially during pandemic. I mean, I thought Queen's Gambit was just the cat's pajamas. I loved that. Did you see it?
What is it called again?
Queen's Gambit.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I know you. It's about chess. It is one of the best things I've seen on television in a long time.
Ooh.
Um, you know what else I really kind of enjoyed in a different way was that series called Away with Hilary Swank, the trip to Mars. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. There's so much stuff that I have not heard of. I mean, there's not even really enough time to get to it. I don't plant myself in front of the TV all the time. I try to do other things, and I painted the interior of my house, all kinds of things, just to keep me busy. But no one would think of David Anspaugh as a guy to direct a musical, right? And I I love all kinds of theaters, but I mean theater, but I love musicals too. And I just thought I'll never have that chance. And then one of the artistic directors at one of the theaters here called me because we had had drinks one night, and I told him about that. And everybody thinks I'm the big inspirational guy, the sports guy, all that. He's not going to want to do a musical. Uh, and he said, "We're doing a production of Spring Awakening. Would you be interested in doing that?" And I did it, and I'm as proud of what I did with that play here in Bloomington as anything I've ever done in my life,
Wow.
as a Rudy or whatever. It was. Indiana has one of the best music schools in the world and in the country for sure. A great opera and classical department and all that. So we have amazing talents here. I mean, we're on par, with new school, the Juilliard, et cetera, et cetera. That caliber. So a lot of the students that I was working with, there just wasn't room in all the productions for them. So I got some of the most amazing voices and actors, and that was a big stepping stone for me in my life. I never thought I would achieve that, to have the opportunity, to direct a play and or to do a musical. And I've done 4 of them since I've been here now.
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you so much for doing this. I learned so much from you, and it was
I'm sorry for jabbering away like I have, but your questions are really good, and I'm going to continue to go through your list and watch some more of the stuff that you've done. But it's been a pleasure, and I'll be excited to see what you're doing, and continued success, my dear, and all the best, and you all be very healthy and during this crazy time we're in.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Bye. Thank you so much, Mr. Anspaugh, for sharing your experiences, stories, and talent. It was an honor to speak with you. Now, before we search it up, here's a quick fun fact. Rudy was Vince Vaughn's first credited movie. And now it's time to search it up. Let's see. Oh, Sean Astin, who plays Rudy in the movie Rudy, also plays Mikey in the movie Goonies. Well, see you next time to talk about Goonies.